When a woman is trying to conceal her feelings, one of the first places the truth slips through is her eyes. The eyes have often been called the windows of the soul, and for good reason. They communicate emotions that the lips may never dare to speak. When a woman likes you but is trying to hide it, her gaze becomes both her greatest giveaway and her most guarded secret. She may glance at you often, only to quickly look away when your eyes meet. She may hold your gaze a second longer than necessary, as if caught between wanting you to know and fearing that you'll see too much. That tension in her eyes tells you more than words ever could. You'll notice these moments in quiet, almost invisible ways, maybe in a group setting, while everyone else is focused elsewhere. Her eyes find you. She's studying your expressions, your reactions, and perhaps even the way you carry yourself. It's as if she's searching for reassurance without admitting why she cares. And when you catch her in the act, she may quickly look down, laugh awkwardly, or shift her attention to something else. But make no mistake, those fleeting glances are not random. They are the silent signals of attraction fighting to surface. Psychologically, eye contact is one of the most powerful nonverbal cues of intimacy. Studies in human behavior show that prolonged eye contact releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, making people feel closer even without words. So when she lingers just a moment longer than usual, it isn't casual, it's chemistry. Yet, because she doesn't want to reveal too much, she'll battle herself, pulling away just as quickly. This push and pull of her gaze mirrors the inner conflict of her heart, the craving to connect and the fear of being exposed. Philosophically, this reveals something profound about human attraction. We can guard our speech, we can hide behind carefully chosen words, but our bodies, our eyes, our gestures are far less obedient. Desire has a way of leaking through even the strongest walls of self-control. A woman may convince herself she's being subtle, but the truth is written in those small, unguarded moments where her eyes speak for her. The real challenge is for you to pay attention. Many men dismiss these subtle cues, believing attraction must always be bold, loud, and unmistakable. But love is often quiet. Interest can be whispered, not shouted. And when you learn to read those whispers, you begin to see reality differently. You recognize that her silence is not rejection, it's hesitation. Her quick glances are not accidents. They are confessions dressed in disguise. So the next time you catch her watching you, don't ignore it. Don't brush it off as coincidence. Understand that her eyes are telling you the story she may never say out loud. And if you truly want to connect, you must learn to listen not just to her words, but to her gaze. Because while lips may lie, eyes rarely do. One of the clearest indicators that a woman secretly likes you, even if she denies it outwardly, is the way she finds reasons to be around you. Presence is not random. Human beings naturally gravitate toward the people and environments that stir their emotions, whether they acknowledge those feelings openly or not. When a woman is drawn to you, she'll subtly engineer opportunities to cross your path, to share space with you, or to engage in seemingly casual interactions that allow her to stay close. On the surface, it may look like coincidence. She happens to show up at the same events you attend. She suddenly develops interest in the activities you enjoy. Or she lingers a little longer in conversations, as if reluctant to leave, yet frames it all as casual. But beneath those surface actions is intention. She's carefully balancing her desire to be near you with her need to protect herself from exposure. It's a dance between craving closeness and guarding vulnerability. From a psychological perspective, this is rooted in the principle of proximity attraction. Simply put, the more time we spend around someone, the stronger the bond we feel. It's why friendships form in classrooms, workplaces, or neighborhoods. Proximity fosters familiarity, and familiarity often breeds attraction. A woman who secretly likes you will use this principle almost instinctively. By placing herself in your orbit, she increases the chances of interaction while maintaining the illusion of normalcy. And yet, It's in the subtlety that her feelings reveal themselves. Think about it, people. Do not invest their time in places where they feel nothing. If she consistently makes herself available, even in small ways, it means your presence matters more to her than she wants to admit. That coincidental bump in, that unexpected appearance at your usual spot, or that extra 10 minutes she spends talking when she could have easily left, those are not accidents, they're signals. Philosophically, this behavior speaks to the paradox of hidden desire. Love, even when suppressed, cannot remain entirely private. It leaks into choices, actions, and priorities. She may silence her words, but she cannot silence the pull that draws her to you. And in choosing to be near you, she is confessing without confessing, revealing without revealing. The mistake many men make is dismissing these moments as chance. They fail to recognize the intentionality behind her presence. They overlook how carefully she positions herself, how consistently she ensures her world overlaps with theirs. If you pay attention, you'll see that her behavior is not about convenience. It's about connection. So, the next time you notice her appearing often in your space, don't assume it's coincidence. Don't overlook the way she gravitates toward you when she could be anywhere else. Understand that presence is a form of communication, and her decision to be near you is one of the loudest unspoken signals of all. Remember this: proximity is never neutral. Where someone chooses to place their time and attention is where their heart is quietly leading them. And if she keeps showing up, even while pretending she doesn't care, it's because she already does. One of the most fascinating yet confusing indicators that a woman likes you but hides it lies in the contradiction between her words and her actions. Human beings are capable of saying one thing while feeling another, and nowhere is this clearer than in the dance of hidden attraction. She may insist she's not interested, she may downplay her feelings, or even tease you in ways that suggest indifference. Yet, her actions betray her. She checks in on you more often than she needs to. She reacts strongly, sometimes with subtle jealousy, when your attention shifts elsewhere. She gives without asking for much in return. These contradictions are not mistakes. They are the echoes of a heart that wants to be seen, but is afraid to be exposed. Words are deliberate. They can be chosen carefully, rehearsed, or used as shields. Actions, however, come from a deeper place. They are shaped by emotions that escape our conscious control. A woman who claims she doesn't care, yet still remembers the smallest detail you shared months ago, is revealing something she doesn't want you to notice. A woman who insists she isn't jealous, but suddenly withdraws when she sees you with someone else, is speaking through behavior what she refuses to admit with words. These subtle inconsistencies are where her truth begins to shine through. From a psychological standpoint, this tension exists because attraction is both thrilling and threatening. Thrilling because it awakens emotions she may not have felt in a long time. Threatening because revealing those emotions makes her vulnerable to rejection, judgment, or loss of dignity. And so she crafts a contradiction, keeping her words guarded while allowing her actions to carry the burden of her feelings. This is why you may feel confused, because you are witnessing both sides of her internal struggle. Philosophically, this contradiction reveals something about human nature itself. We are not purely logical creatures. We are beings caught between reason and emotion. She may tell herself, "I must not let him know," but her heart acts in ways her mind cannot fully control. And when her behavior steps out of alignment with her words, that gap becomes the space where truth quietly lives. The real challenge for you is to discern which side of the contradiction to trust. If you listen only to her words, you may conclude she feels nothing. If you look only at her actions, you may believe she feels everything. The key is to recognize the tension as evidence of hidden attraction. A woman who truly feels nothing has no contradictions. Her words and actions match. But the woman who feels deeply yet hides it will always show signs of inconsistency. So, the next time her language denies interest but her actions suggest otherwise, don't dismiss it as confusion. See it for what it is, a silent confession. Her behavior is already speaking the words her pride refuses to let out. And here's the truth worth holding on to. When words and actions clash, actions are the ones telling the story. If you want to know where her heart truly lies, watch what she does, not what she says. Because in that contradiction, you will find the honesty she cannot bring herself to speak. Another sign that she likes you, but hides, it shows up in the way she reacts when you give your attention to other people, especially other women. On the surface, she may seem composed. She may laugh it off, act as though she is unbothered, even encourage you to talk to someone else. But beneath that performance, subtle shifts in her demeanor give her away. Maybe her tone changes. Maybe she suddenly becomes distant, quieter, or overly playful in an exaggerated attempt to prove she doesn't care. The truth is, when someone truly feels nothing for you, they are indifferent. They don't notice where your attention goes, and it doesn't impact their emotions. But when she cares and is trying to hide it, indifference becomes impossible. Jealousy, in this case, doesn't always scream. It whispers. It shows up in the way her eyes linger when you're laughing with someone else. It reveals itself when she abruptly changes the subject if another woman's name comes up in conversation. It might even manifest as teasing you, throwing little jokes that mask her unease. These are not accidents. They are coping strategies. She is fighting to maintain her mask of control while her emotions leak through in ways she cannot fully contain. From a psychological perspective, jealousy is not just about fear of losing you. It's about desire for significance. When a woman craves you but won't admit it, the thought of you being emotionally available to someone else threatens her unspoken hope. That's why her reactions feel so disproportionate to the situation. She is not upset about the other person specifically. She is upset about what that person represents. A potential challenge to the connection she secretly wants to preserve with you. Philosophically, jealousy uncovers something profound about love and attraction. It is evidence of value. We do not envy what does not matter to us. We do not feel threatened by what we do not want. In this way, her subtle jealousy is not something to dismiss or ridicule. It is a quiet signal that you hold a place in her heart she is unwilling to name out loud. The tension arises because she cannot admit it, and so the emotion is forced into disguise. The important part for you is to observe these shifts with sensitivity, not arrogance. A woman's hidden jealousy is not an invitation for you to play games with her emotions, but rather an opportunity to recognize the depth of what she feels but refuses to articulate. If you can notice these signals with respect, you can better understand her inner world and the conflict she faces between vulnerability and pride. So, the next time she seems oddly unsettled by your attention elsewhere, don't dismiss it as coincidence. Don't mistake her teasing or her silence for indifference. See it for what it is, a subtle crack in her armor, a glimpse of the feelings she works so hard to conceal. And remember, this jealousy, when hidden, is not a flaw but a confession. It is the heart's way of speaking when the lips refuse to. If you learn to listen closely, you will hear the truth she cannot say aloud. One of the clearest but often overlooked signs that a woman likes you yet hides, it is her tendency to remember small details about you that others easily forget. You may not even notice it at first because it doesn't come with a grand gesture or a bold confession. Instead, it reveals itself in subtle ways. A comment about something you mentioned weeks ago, her recalling your favorite drink, or even noticing when your mood is different, even though you haven't said a word. These moments might seem insignificant, but they carry profound meaning. When someone invests emotional energy into another person, their memory sharpens. It's not about effort, it's about priority. She remembers because you matter. Her mind naturally clings to the fragments of your words, your habits, your preferences, as though they were threads that connect her to you. And yet, because she hides her feelings, she often frames this attentiveness as casual. She might joke, "I just have a good memory," or downplay it by saying, "I notice everything." But in truth, she doesn't notice everything. She notices you. From a psychological perspective, this kind of recall reveals selective attention. Our brains are constantly filtering information, discarding what seems irrelevant and spotlighting what feels emotionally significant. So, when she remembers things you've long forgotten, you even said, it's not random, it's emotional evidence. She is tuned into you, even if she tries to mask it under the guise of friendly care or natural observation. Philosophically, it's worth reflecting on why these small acts of remembrance carry such weight. Love, especially when hidden, often avoids grand expressions. It instead settles into the quiet rituals of noticing. A woman who secretly craves you may not be able to say, "I care about you," directly, but she shows it through these understated acts of attention. It's her way of expressing what her pride, fear, or circumstances won't allow her to articulate openly. In these small details lies the language of the heart, spoken not with words but with awareness. Think about it when someone remembers something personal about you. It has the power to make you feel seen. It tells you that you are not invisible, that your presence left an imprint strong enough to linger in another's mind. This is precisely why her hidden affection expresses itself this way. It is safe. Remembering does not expose her too much, but it still allows her to nurture the closeness she longs for. Your task is to discern the difference between general friendliness and this deeper form of attentiveness. Anyone can casually recall basic information, but when she consistently highlights specific, personal, and even vulnerable details about you, that's not random. That is care disguised as coincidence. So the next time she remembers something you forgot you told her, pause for a moment. Don't brush it off. Recognize it as a window into her hidden emotions, an indirect confession of the depth of her interest. Because in the end, affection that hides itself in memory is still affection. It's love in its quietest form, unspoken, restrained, but undeniable. And if you are wise enough to notice it, you'll understand that the things she remembers are not just about your life. They are about her feelings for you. Another subtle yet undeniable sign that a woman likes you but hides it lies in the way her energy shifts when you're around. This isn't always about what she says or does directly, but about the emotional atmosphere she creates in your presence. Pay attention closely. She might suddenly seem more animated, her laughter a little louder, her interest in the conversation more intense. Or, on the opposite side, she could become unusually quiet, reserved, even guarded, almost as if your presence makes her self-conscious. Either way, the shift is there, and it's not by accident. When feelings run deep, the body betrays what the mouth refuses to confess. Psychology teaches us that emotions are energy in motion. A woman suppressing her desire for you often finds herself unconsciously broadcasting it in these small, unfiltered bursts of energy. You'll notice the way she leans in just slightly when you talk, or how her body seems to find a rhythm that matches yours. Even silence in her case is not empty. It's charged. It's the weight of what she wants to say but doesn't dare to. Why does she do this? Because the very act of hiding affection intensifies it. By keeping her emotions bottled up, the pressure grows, and that pressure has to find release somewhere. Sometimes it's in her nervous laughter. Sometimes it's in her fidgeting hands. Sometimes it's in the rare moments when she grows unusually still, like she's holding herself tightly in check. These subtle cues reveal her struggle between restraint and longing. Philosophically, this is where human connection becomes fascinating. Love, when denied its freedom to be spoken, always seeks alternative routes. It cannot be extinguished, it only changes its form. And so, it shows up in presence, in the shift of tone, in the atmosphere, in the way she seems just a little different around you than she is with anyone else. It's not performance, it's resonance. You affect her in ways she cannot hide completely, no matter how much she tries. If you look carefully, you'll see the difference between the way she interacts with others and the way she interacts with you. It's in the details. She might listen more attentively, laugh more easily, or even challenge you more often. Her energy is not neutral. It is invested. An investment always comes with meaning. This is why it's important not to be distracted by what she says on the surface. Words can mislead, but energy rarely does. Her presence will tell you far more than her sentences. If you find that her mood, her body language, or even her silence changes when you step into the room, don't dismiss it. That shift is her truth, slipping out despite her attempts to cover it. So, remember, this attraction that is hidden is never truly silent. It hums beneath the surface, weaving itself into the smallest of moments, waiting to be noticed by the one it is meant for. And if you're perceptive enough to see it, you'll realize her unspoken energy is often louder than any words she could ever say. In the end, the real question is not whether she shows you signs. It's whether you are paying close enough attention to recognize them, because love rarely hides without leaving a trace.